and welcome to Wayfinding, our Bible study turned podcast. My name is Benny, and I am joined by my I thought I would have a term by the time I got to this sentence, but I didn't. My Helldivers, co-recruits. I'm still trying to get them, guys. Dylan and Daniel, hello, welcome. I'm just gonna jump past it. Also, you just got like spammed by.
Yeah, I don't know what's
computer.
going on. All right, let's try that again.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Doing pretty good, huh?
Doing well. Doing well. I'm really tired. In the last like 2 hours, I like wrapped up stuff, and my mind was like, we've had a good productive. Have I told you guys about this? If I do something hyper productive, my brain goes, wow, we have been so productive. We can do nothing else and still have a great day. And that's exactly what we do. So as soon as if I've done something incredibly productive, chalk it. Like there's a potential that I keep going and it's like, oh great, I can accomplish so many other things. But then the other side is just like, wow, I did so much. I'm going to do nothing else. And today after like 2 hours ago or whatever, I finished everything. I'm like,
I'm doing nothing else.
I'm doing nothing else. And then I remembered later, podcasts. I'm doing something.
Yeah, I felt that. I get all my shelves done up for one. I'm like,
Yeah.
and Dylan came in miraculously like a bird from heaven.
Like I enter every other room.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Yeah. Well, as always, we're going to have a time of just Q&A discussion first, and then we're going to get into John chapter 11 in just a little bit. But first, over to Dylan for questions.
Benny, you lived in Illinois, right?
Correct.
You're closer to the Great Lakes than we are currently.
Correct.
I think. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure.
Yes.
Have you ever been?
On them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're massive.
They're gigantic.
I didn't realize how big they are, and they're like, oh yeah, there's shipwrecks on there. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. When I got to go to Israel, they were explaining to us, they're like, yeah, so Israel is not a huge country. And we're like, yeah. And he's like, basically, the entirety of Israel fits inside of Lake Michigan. And we're like, hold, time out. It's that small? So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Lake Michigan is huge, and I think is it Lake Ontario's that I think is the bigger one, but it just has like a lot of tiny islands intermixed with it. But technically, it has like the most surface area. Lake Michigan is just like long, and then but doesn't have anything in the midst of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's always cold.
I knew that it was big in the sense like it's a lake.
Yeah,
But
and like a proper lake, not like
yeah.
I don't know, the lakes in Texas.
Yeah. Puddle Medina, as you would call it.
Yeah. Dude, Medina Lake is a joke.
Yeah, like when we went to the weekend, there was, I don't know what, is it Lake Trav? No, it's
Yes,
not.
I think it's Travis.
It is?
That's that one. Uh-huh.
Yeah, me and Jason Holt were driving around making sure kids were supposed to do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get lost. We went exploring, which is kind of a mistake considering how it was super muddy. And I was scared the entire time that I was going to get stuck in my 2-wheel drive truck because like nobody else is going to be able to pull us out because we only had the U-Haul and that wouldn't make it anywhere.
Yeah.
And we saw this steep embankment. We're like, oh, what's this? And then we also saw like one of those floating signs up at the top, and it said "No swimming." We're like, oh, that is probably like a quarter mile away from the water. That's not supposed to be like that.
Oh no. Yeah, I remember driving into camp over to the camp, and just on my GPS had the blue block to say like, oh, a body of water is going to be here. And I get to it, and it's like a bridge that we're driving over. I get to that body of water, and I'm like, there's nothing here. This is straight up just ravine. And it's like, it's been dry enough long enough that there's just
Dirt.
well, no, actually, there's vegetation growing. Like there's trees and everything. I'm like, okay, well, I don't think all of those were just like underwater this whole time.
I think I know how water works, and I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. But it for sure was not a lake.
Yeah.
At best, it was a creek. So,
Yeah. It amazes me like how one part of the United States can have so much water. And then you get down to here, and it's like, oh, there is no water. The closest thing to water you'll get is the water from your fridge.
yeah. I remember going to when I first moved back to Illinois, different part of Illinois than I was in when I was born there. I was born in Chicago, then I moved to like central Illinois. In this town, they had a lagoon. They had like little paddle boats and stuff that you could drive. Yeah, whatever. Boat around on. It's tiny. It's a small little thing. It's a lagoon. And I just remember telling the kids, I was talking to the students, and I'm like, well, you guys want to go hang out? You want to go do something? And they're like, sure, yeah, let's go. Why don't we go to the park? I'm like, oh, the one like next to the lake? And they're like, no, the one by the lagoon. And I'm like, the lake? The one that has like the nice house. They're like, yeah, that's not a lake, Ben. I'm like, listen, I'm from Texas. Anything bigger than like a pail of water is a lake. We take what we can get.
For us, the swimming pool is the ocean.
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Let me see what other questions I have. If I offered you $10 million, would you take it?
Yes. Was there supposed to be like a part 2?
Yes, there is a part 2.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't just end there.
I'm like, I don't think you understand how trick questions work. Daniel?
Of course I'd take 10 million. Wait a minute.
So now what's the part 2?
Well, Daniel said, wait a minute. So I'm wondering what.
I feel like if I say no, I'm going to get more if I
You can change your answer later.
Okay, yes, I'll take 10
great.
million.
What if you took that 10 million, but you didn't wake up tomorrow?
Oh, dang. No.
No, I wouldn't. What do you mean? Like I'm out, I'm dead?
Yeah, so you get $10 million today, but tomorrow you're dead. You don't wake up tomorrow.
Oh, it's not worth it. I can't do anything with the $10 million overnight.
Correct.
See, so what I'm thinking about in my head, 12 a.m., I get the $10 million. 11:59 p.m. the next day, I'm dead. I would definitely take it.
What?
I would go on the biggest shopping spree of my entire life.
To have for a day?
Yeah.
What? Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah.
I think you missed the point of the question.
No.
The point of the question. So I've seen somebody ask this question on a different clip somewhere online.
I got it from there probably.
Probably. And the point of the clip is like, would you take $10 million? Would you still take $10 million if it meant you don't wake up tomorrow? And everyone changes their answer, and it goes to, no, I would not take the $10 million. They're like, exactly. Because you having another day is worth more than having $10 million. So make use of that, of having a new day every day. And it's like, wow, so heartfelt, so incredible. But you're like, nah, I'm going to take the 10 mil.
Correct.
Oh my God.
Yes. I'd go buy me an F350.
You can't even
an
get paperwork
F450.
done that fast.
Oh, yeah. Give me an F450, pay for it in cash like a baller. Pulling up with $120,000 just in a duffel bag.
Mr. Beast, though.
Yes. And then I'm going to go to the nearest Tractor Supply and get me one of those little mini bikes that I showed you earlier. Because that'd just be so funny to have a big old F450. And then
For the mini bike?
Yeah, just for the mini bike. And then I don't know what else I would do.
Well,
Hey, you can just will all the rest of the money into my name, huh?
listen, if
That'd
I'm,
actually be smart. I'm making a sacrifice for y'all.
Listen, if I'm, I'm just gonna disregard that.
Oh no, we get somebody real old.
If I'm taking $10 million, like let's say it's just like it's a done deal. I'm gonna give you $10 million, but now you're dead tomorrow. What I do is like set up my family and friends and loved ones and whatever. Like I do things to like make sure they can be taken care of.
I do that with the rest of the money.
Yeah.
So you buy me a 450? And
No.
a Mustang?
No.
Taken care of, not spoiled.
Yeah. You might get $5 out of it.
Wow, huh? I think I'll be friends with you. Huh?
I'd buy me a super nice coffin first.
Oh my god.
Play the
A
most
$9 million coffin.
Play me the most extravagant funeral I could possibly think of.
Invite everyone
Yes.
on the planet.
That'd be so much fun.
Watch nobody show up. Huh?
That would happen to me.
Right.
It would just be, oh,
You throw the biggest funeral, the biggest party funeral thing, and no one shows up. You're like, dang.
everybody's busy that day. Oh, sorry I did, but we found out about this before you're going to die.
Should I gave me a F450? I would have shown up. Huh?
Wow.
Okay, I got this shit, huh?
Oh, okay.
So have you seen Mr. Beast's new video? Huh?
Yes, maybe.
What do you think about
Which one?
About his chocolate?
Oh, the refresh of the chocolate?
What do you think about it?
I like it. I think the new branding is really cool. I think the redoing of the recipe to make sure that it's the highest quality is really good. And then the marketing is like dope in terms of every day for the next 30 days, someone wins $10,000 if you buy Feastables, which by the way,
Oh.
I've wasted. You haven't heard about that?
No, I'm going to go get me a mini bike then.
I was going to say, I'm like, oh, I have not gone to buy Feastables and I probably should. But yeah, so every single day for the next 30 days, by now I think it's like 20, something like that.
Is this it? Mm-hmm. Okay. I just don't want to pull up the old picture and absolutely look like an idiot.
Every day for the next 30 days, for the first 30 days of release, there's a QR code to scan on the chocolate bar. You scan it and fill out the form. It'll probably ask you for your receipt and whatnot to have proof of purchase. Mm-hmm. But there is one person every single day who will win $10,000 every day.
I know what Dylan's doing after this. So.
I'm going to buy out Target and Walmart of all their chocolate.
It is available at Walmart, Target, and 7-Eleven.
And if I still don't win the $10,000, I'm going to be super upset.
You have a lot of chocolate, huh?
Thanks.
I wonder what like the odds are.
I don't know.
Super slim.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his sales are like. I'm sure he's doing well. I think Feastables is one of his main drivers of like profit because he's able to like generate the product and then like go. A lot of his videos run negative. His videos are now just for attention, but he's like, I'm going to spend like $200,000 or $500,000 on a video, and I'm probably only getting 100 or 200 back.
Yeah.
So he's realized now that his main channel videos are running at negative, but his other channel videos do well. His React channel does really well because people will watch him react to other stuff, and then that's a very low cost YouTube channel that will still get the high views, so he gets a better income on that. And then he has his Mr. Beast Philanthropy. That one just generates its own stuff. So they make a video, that one generates revenue, but that revenue goes straight back into his philanthropy businesses. And then he has Beast Burger, Feastables.
Beast Burger's still a thing?
Yeah, it's still out there.
Oh.
He doesn't drive as much to it. Right now, he's really heavily focusing on Feastables.
Over $10 million in chocolate bars have been sold in less than 3 months on July 7th, 2023. So that's about
Just
10 million chocolate.
just Feastables or total?
Just Feastables. So that's about $5 million or 5 million chocolate bars.
I thought you said it was 10 million chocolate bars.
$10 million.
$10 million worth of chocolate bars.
They're each about $2. So
yeah.
5 million.
$10 million within 3 months
Yes.
as of last summer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good.
And so if you think about it, it's like 1.2 million chocolate bars per month. So technically, Daniel, the answer to your question is you have a 1 in 1.2 million chance of getting that chocolate bar.
Well,
Or you just buy it for 2.4
that
million.
doesn't sound right because then you
Divide by
say
2.
Hmm?
It's so how many chocolate bars was it? $10 million worth.
Yeah, divided by 2, 5.
So it's 5 million
for 3 months.
for 3 months. Divided by 3 is the 1.2.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's right.
Gee.
It's a 1 in a million chance.
Yeah. 1.2 about.
It sounds better as 1 in a million chance.
So if you want to spend $2 million on chocolate bars to get $10,000, go ahead.
Or just buy the first bar and win.
Yeah, good luck with that, Daniel.
I don't know. Might look somewhat good. I want a shotgun.
Daniel, if you buy the first chocolate bar, or if you buy the chocolate bar and you get it first try, I will double it at some point.
Wow, that sounds like a great deal. Oh.
I'm
You're
that
saying
confident that you won't get it.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say, like, if you give it to me, I will double it.
No. If he gets it in general first try, I will double it at some point in my lifetime. Not going to be now because I do not have $10,000 just to give you. But at some point in my lifetime, I will give you $10,000.
20,000.
Yeah, I'll give you 20,000. I'll be that confident.
That you have to pull the winning chocolate bar
First try.
first try.
I'm not losing anything. So if I buy it, I get a chocolate.
I'm going to be so upset if he pulls it.
Imagine.
You have no idea. I mean, you did win a shotgun. Oh, their odds are really not looking up.
It's funny.
For those of y'all who don't know, Daniel went to a clay shooting tournament,
Yeah. Huh?
and he won a shotgun along with his boss. But his boss's wife was pulling the names, so it was pretty rigged.
No, it wasn't.
It was not rigged.
For legal stuff, it was not rigged.
There's no proof that it wasn't.
There's proof that it wasn't. Gosh dang it. I felt like I had a question, but now I forgot it. I need you guys to play Helldivers.
Oh my goodness.
It has completely taken over my mind. Yesterday I had a long day. And even then I went home and still, like, we wrapped up, I had dinner, whatever. I'm like, I'm going to war. I just fought for like 2 hours.
Benny, at what point does something become an addiction?
I don't know.
Because I think you're there.
I don't know. That's actually a good question. But I don't know when something is an addiction. I think it's whenever you can't go without it is when you're addicted to it.
Benny, can you go without Helldivers?
I'm without it right now.
But you're thinking about it.
I was now because I brought it up.
Not having control over taking or using something to the point where it becomes could be harmful to you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not there yet.
Yet. I think I put it again.
Yeah, no, I'm not there yet.
We're going to get an email one day. Benny decided to leave Mission City.
Yeah. What is he doing? Oh, he's just going to war.
Army? No.
No. The
Game.
Helldivers.
What's that? It's a video game.
It's a video game.
This is what our generation has come to. Benny, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. Dude, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Well, I don't know. Isn't very helpful.
I'm thinking.
What about you, Daniel?
Let me think. I mean, I don't know if you guys know Carlos. He gave me some pretty good advice about dating in high school. He's like, it's not worth dating.
We can tell.
I don't know why I perfectly pictured it. He gave me advice about dating in high school, and I pictured just him going, "Don't."
That was basically it. He was like, it's not worth dating in high school. And that's like some of the best advice I've been given and I've been able to give other people. It's just not worth it.
Didn't he date Heidi in high school? Or is it after?
No, he was maybe sophomore in college.
So it was pretty close after.
Yeah, a couple years after high school. But it wasn't in it. Like I think they met even in college.
Oh.
Like in their college years.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. It's never. There are very few times at which a high school relationship like works out
It doesn't.
really well. Like it's very few. It's nice. It's all sweet. You know, you have the high school sweetheart story and it's nice and whatever. You can't bank on that, you know? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the joke about Dylan. Oh, Dylan, you did it in high school. It didn't work out either.
Nobody was going to say anything.
No, Daniel
But
was
now you
definitely
did.
going to say something. I saw the look in Daniel's eyes, and I was just waiting for it.
Oh, you're looking at my eyes?
Well, I'm going to have to cut that out. I think the best piece of advice I've ever received is from Cars.
Oh,
Like, no lie.
Okay, what's the advice?
Whenever Doc Hudson is talking to Lightning McQueen, I think, or I could just be completely wrong about the scene.
Okay.
But he goes, cruise like a Cadillac, sting like a bee. That's
the greatest advice I've ever heard.
Yeah. Be calm when you want, but when you have to get stuff done, get it done. Mind blown. I just blew all y'all's minds.
I mean, listen.
I don't know if that was a sigh of defeat from Benny or a sigh of I want to get out of here.
It was both. Man, I still don't know what to classify as like the best piece of advice. That's super tough. Because part of me just wants to be like the Jesus answer of just being like, you know, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's the greatest piece of advice you could ever give. Yeah.
I feel like I should have some kind of like. I've been around Tony's for so long. I feel like I should have some advice for him.
The greatest piece of advice I've ever learned from Tony was when I was in 8th grade and he was my small group teacher. He told me, always be ready to give an answer for the reason you believe. And it was quoting scripture, but it was always be ready to give a defense of what you believe in. It stuck with me. I mean, obviously till this very day, of just like the importance of knowing why you believe something so that you can give a defense of it. And it helps so much to be able to like then to be able to understand what you believe better is always better for you. Then you can explain that to people better.
Yeah.
And you can give a defense of your faith, but also just like you'll be able to evangelize better because you know your theology, you know your faith better. So that's something from him that I gained. And it's super tough to figure out what the single best piece of advice ever was.
Well, we know what Dylan says. It was from a Cars movie.
If we're talking movie, Rafiki once said,
Who?
the monkey from Lion King. He said, look beyond what you see.
That's it?
Yup.
That's kind of basic, Benny.
Now he was meaning literally beyond the tree line is the Pride Rock that you need to go to. So he's meaning like physically, but it's also like it's from Lion King 1.5, and so it's
One and a half.
1.5.
Huh?
You don't know?
No.
Oh my gosh. Lion King 1.5 is the story of Timon and Pumbaa alongside the story of Lion King 1. It's super funny. And so you follow Timon and Pumbaa's story. And they meet Rafiki, and Rafiki says, "Look beyond what you see." And Timon responds, and he goes, "I see. You mean I need to look deeper, beyond what is on the surface level, so that I can really deeply understand the person that I am trying to connect with?" I'm like, wow. And he goes, Rafiki goes, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what I meant." And he goes, "Look beyond what you see." He's pointing over to the mountain range. He's going, "Oh, it's right over there."
What about you, Daniel? What's your favorite?
Do you have a movie advice?
I've heard like musicians like some. I don't really like pay attention to movies. So,
Wow.
like that, like quotes. Like the best like quote kind of I've heard from a musician is what was it? So he says he plays his performances like it's his last day on earth. So he does it to 100%, 1,000 times percent like he would do if it was his last day on earth.
Sure.
And I like that. For me, I want to put that in my own life where I'm like, I want it to be, it's my last day on earth, so I need to give 100% every day in anything I do. And not put half of it. Even when I'm tired and stuff, I need to give that 100%. That's the best like kind of quote I've heard.
I like that.
You got anything else, Dylan? Or
Do you really not have a movie quote? There's got to be something, Daniel. You've seen so many inspirational movies.
see what movies I've watched?
Oh my goodness. There's no way. You've seen Creed, whatever number just came out.
Creed 3, I think that was the last one.
Top Gun 2. If you can't get a quote from those, Daniel, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know anything more inspirational than that other than Cars and Turbo.
Give me a second.
There's one winner, 42 losers. I ate losers for breakfast. Lightning McQueen, when he was in the trailer going to his first race. Yeah, well, probably wasn't his first race. Don't ask me what we learned in church on Sunday, though. Mostly because I wasn't there.
That's a good one, huh? Okay, from Creed 3. Efficiency over power. I like that.
What?
Efficiency.
Oh.
Efficiency.
Efficiency.
Efficiency over power. Yeah, I thought you said efficiency over power. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Screw boxing. Become a fisherman. As Jesus said in and jump over to John. Perfect segue.
If you want me, I can give you one from Top Gun too. Huh? I'll find the one out of this.
Well,
It's Top Gun. Literally every line they said was inspirational.
Some of them were funny.
Well, I stand incorrected.
You told me not to think.
That is the worst piece of inspirational advice I've ever heard in my entire life. You could not get worse than that. You could have said one of the funny ones and been better off.
I mean, if you really
too
wanted
late.
There really isn't any good one.
Hold on, let's flip it. What is the worst piece of advice you've ever heard in your life?
You told me not to think from 30 seconds ago. Oh, man. I've heard a lot of bad advice. I just like been pointing it down to the worst one. Huh. No, that one's not a bad one because that one's true. Huh. Do you have anything, Daniel?
like I've had told you guys something that's happened in my life. Somebody just told me.
I feel like the worst piece of advice is so hard to think of because it's like you almost think of it like a joke.
Yeah.
And so you forget about it. But so now I'm like trying to think of like when was a time that somebody actually like gave me advice that I was like, that's stupid. Go to college.
Amen.
No, you should go to college. Maybe.
Take high school seriously.
Consider college. It's not the worst. It's not even advice. But I took a philosophy course when I was at SAC, and my professor one day said, like, you said you like art. I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're really good at philosophy. Like, I really like your contributions to the class and everything. Have you ever considered doing like art therapy? And I'm like, no, I haven't. He goes, you should really think about it, like being an art therapist. And I'm like, I'll consider it, I guess. I'll think on it.
Did you ever do it?
No.
You wouldn't be here if you did that.
Yeah.
No, I feel like you still would. I feel like you'd be in there for a week and be like, I'm tired of hearing about people's problems. I'd say the worst piece of advice for me is to take dual credit in high school. Honestly, I never did it. But it seems like the biggest waste of time ever. Because you still have to take it in college. Like, you're still going to have to take an English class in college. It does move you up a level. But then you're just stuck with a bunch of... Like, there's no acclimation to it. Because whenever you're going to the second level of English in college,
Yeah.
they think that you've already been through all this stuff. But high school English and and college English are two different things.
Yes. But I mean, it's just for credit.
That is true.
I could see it for AP. Because AP classes only get you, like, you get like bonus points or whatever. You get bonus points on your GPA. But otherwise, like, if you don't write a good enough paper,
It's useless.
you're done. You just did a harder class and got nothing for it. You know? So
What about you, Daniel?
For some reason, I want to say somebody told me something about drinking. It was like, you need to drink, do something with drinking. But I just can't remember exactly what it was.
Like to drink or not to drink?
No, to drink.
Oh, okay.
It was some kind of like, oh, you need a drink to get this or something. I don't know. Some weirdo.
To get hair on your chest?
No.
Oh.
I've had some weird fishermen. Like, there's just been some weird instances I've had. I just can't remember.
That's why I don't talk to people.
for risk of getting bad advice.
Yeah. And me scaring people.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
I remember one. I was dove hunting once. And it was on like public land. And this guy was like, you need to drink more to shoot better.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how that works.
That is single-handedly the most opposite thing anybody could have said.
Yeah, I had somebody say that's pretty bad advice.
That's pretty bad.
Benny, I have a new hobby. I think I might have told you this already, but I'm probably not. Reading Amazon reviews.
Oh, that's funny. Those are funny.
Yes. So, did I tell you about the toilet incident from Morgan and Lane?
Yes.
Did I tell you about the reviews about a super expensive toilet I found on Amazon?
No.
So, there was this toilet. Like $14,000 or $15,000 for the single toilet.
Oh my gosh.
Like stupid expensive. I go down at the reviews. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. 5-star review. Surprise feature. A toilet so expensive that it does not need any description of its features. If anyone is curious, it has a feature that caught me off with my pants down. Pun intended. An automatic insertion enema hose. Whatever that
Enema?
is. E-N-E-M-A. Enema.
Enema.
What is that?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
know exactly what it is, but I don't want to say it.
What is it?
I'll tell you off there. It's not appropriate.
We can cut it off. We can cut this out. Benny can cut this out.
I really don't.
I don't want to say it.
An automatic insertion beep hose will be activated with the push of a button.
It's not a bad word to say. It's just I don't want to explain what it is.
Okay.
Is it like a bidet where it just like cleans your butt?
No. Enema. Do you know what an enema is?
No.
No.
Look it up on your phone. And
I don't know if I want to look this
Yeah.
up on my phone. There are certain things Benny's just don't know for a reason. You know, like
Look it up, but then tell me what you think.
how do you
E-N-E-M-A. You don't have to click enter.
gross?
Just helps you poop. You could have just said that, Daniel.
It's like a precision bidet.
Yeah.
Bidet.
No, you stick it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes up your rear end and cleans you out. You could have just said that. Best to read manual before you test drive. Next review. Scary. Squirted me in the face. 2 frog emojis. Thanks, Randy. 5 stars. Awesome toilet. Randy was right. Also, the pre-downloaded song by Sounds of Maria was just the cherry on top. I did not...
It plays music.
Apparently. Worst experience I've ever had. The Superjet nearly took my butt hairs off. I was so upset that I purchased a self-contained gas-saving turd bake oven. Randy was right. Randy Marsh was spot on with this. Love it. No more toilet paper in this house. And that's on it. I wish there were more of them because I would just love to read them.
You guys are going to hate me. It's only been a week, and I know I'm already irritating people. In Helldivers.
Oh my goodness.
So in the store, there's reviews that are completely fake. And it's so funny. So it has like the products available that you could actually like buy like with real money. And then underneath it has reviews for the products. And like they're all just made up. And so it just says, like, one of them said, my wife said I had to choose between this and her. She will be missed. 5-star. There's so many that it's like, sometimes you just check the store for the reviews.
Did you know you can be a professional reviewer for Amazon?
Yes.
I had no idea. They'll send you free products too.
How do I find the... I was going to look up the reviews for you, but I can't find it. Oh, well. Well, you guys ready for John chapter 11?
Yep.
It's a long one. We might want to break it in two. We'll go verse 1 through 44, and then we'll save the second half for next week.
This is going to be a part 2, people.
All right. Let me read it for us, and then we'll get into it. A man named Lazarus was sick. He lived in Bethany with his sisters Mary and Martha. This is the Mary who later poured the expensive perfume on the Lord's feet and wiped them with her hair. Her brother, Lazarus, was sick. So the two sisters sent a message to Jesus, telling them, "Lord, your dear friend is very sick." But when Jesus heard about it, he said, "Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so that the Son of God will receive glory from this." So, although Jesus loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days. Finally, he said to his disciples, "Let's go back to Judea." But his disciples objected. "Rabbi," they said, "only a few days ago the people in Judea were trying to stone you. Are you going there again?" Jesus replied, There are 12 hours of daylight every day. During the day, people can walk safely. They can see because they have the light of this world. But at night, there is danger of stumbling because they have no light. Then he said, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but now I will go and wake him up." The disciples said, "Lord, if he is sleeping, he will soon get better." They thought Jesus meant Lazarus was simply sleeping, but Jesus meant Lazarus had already died. So he told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead. And for your sakes, I'm glad I wasn't there, for now you will really believe. Come, let's go see him." Thomas, nicknamed the twin, said to his fellow disciples, Let's go too and die with Jesus." When Jesus arrived at Bethany, he was told that Lazarus has already been in his grave for 4 days. Bethany was only a few miles down the road from Jerusalem, and many of the people had come to console Martha and Mary in their loss. When Martha got word that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, but Mary stayed in the house. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus told her, "Your brother will rise again." "Yes," Martha said, "he will rise when everyone else rises at the last day." And Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live, even after dying. Everyone who lives in me and believes will never ever die. Do you believe this, Martha?" "Yes, Lord," she told him. "I have always believed you are Messiah, the Son of God, the one who has come into the world from God." Then she returned to Mary. She called Mary aside from the mourners and told her, "The teacher is here and wants to see you." So Mary immediately went to him. Jesus had stayed outside the village at the place where Martha met him. When the people who were at the house consoling Mary saw her leave so hastily, they assumed she was going to Lazarus' grave to weep. So they followed her there. And when Mary arrived and saw Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, a deep anger welled up with him, and he was deeply troubled. "Where have you put him?" he asked them. They told him, "Lord, come and see." And then Jesus wept. The people who were standing nearby said, "See how much he loved him?" But some said, "This man healed a blind man. Couldn't he have kept Lazarus from dying?" Jesus was still angry as he arrived at the tomb, a cave with a stone rolled across its entrance. "Roll the stone aside," Jesus told them. But Martha, the dead man's sister, protested. "Lord, he has been dead for 4 days. The smell will be terrible." Jesus responded, "Didn't I tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe?" So they rolled the stone aside. Then Jesus looked up to heaven and said, "Father, thank you for hearing me. You always hear me, but I said it out loud for the sake of all the people standing here, so that they will believe that you have sent me." And then Jesus shouted, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. And Jesus told them, "Unwrap him and let him go."
Imagine just like talking to a wall, essentially. And then some guy walking out of it.
Yeah.
That is the most baller thing.
They moved the stone, Dylan. They moved. It was a grave. It was.
Whoa.
So he wasn't just talking to the wall. they moved it aside, and so now you had like a hole there.
Imagine talking to a wall with a hole in it then. Excuse me. Big difference.
Imagine him not actually saying Lazarus' name. He says, just come out, and they just all wake up.
We talked about that a few weeks ago, where the theory goes that if he didn't say Lazarus come out, then he could have actually also proven himself by saying just come out, arise, like, you know, but then everyone in the grave would have awoken, you know.
Would that mean they would all get restored to like perfect?
I feel like
Because some of them had to be in there like rotting and stuff.
So I wouldn't say they would have been restored to perfect,
I mean, you know,
but they would have been restored to exactly how they were prior to death, minus like sickness and ailment.
I feel like if that happened, God could have just undone it. Like, click the redo button, just like, oh, nope, all y'all go back.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Little John, you got to go back. Big Billy, back. Lazarus, you can stay. Yeah.
Imagine how disappointed someone must have been if that would have happened.
Oh my
Just,
gosh.
all right, everybody come out. No, never mind. My bad. Go back.
Just Lazarus. Just Lazarus.
Oh, so I have a question.
Okay.
This is kind of off topic.
Oh no.
But it's still kind of the thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought about it last week and I just never brought it up. But can Jesus go to hell? Well,
Yes.
is there like
So the theory goes that Jesus, when he died on the cross, the 3 days, because he was like he took on sin. In that moment, the theory goes that he went to hell, paid the price, and then came back. And that's kind of the symbolism of like he went, he paid for everything, came back to life. But yeah, it also just kind of depends on like your theory or concept of hell and what you believe it to be. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, in this passage, you see Jesus is still in, I don't know where he is actually. I don't remember what part of the nation he was in, but he's far away. Lazarus gets sick, and they send word to him, and he's like, nah, he'll be fine. He says, it happened for the glory of God, so the Son of God can receive glory from him, from this. So he says, he'll be okay. We'll go later. 2 days later, he tells his disciples, let's go back to Judea. And they get all upset because they're like, Jesus, you almost got stoned the last time we went there. You want to go back so that they can maybe like have a second chance to kill you? He speaks in this other metaphor. He gives them another parable, a micro parable, saying there are 12 hours in 12 hours of daylight every day. During the day, people can walk safely. They can see because they have the light of this world. But at night, there is danger of stumbling because they have no light. And then he pivots and he says, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I will go wake him up. What do you make of verse 9 and 10, where he talks about light walking around during the day and walking around at night?
I like how he compares himself. Well, he compares God to being the light and walking in a straight line.
Does yours specifically word it as walking in a straight path?
Well, if anyone walks around in the day, he does not stumble. So, in my brain, however,
I see. Yeah, nothing trips them. They can continue on that straight path. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I do stumble, but
But that's really my own fault.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely a connection there in terms of, we remember at the beginning of the book of John, he says the light has come into the world. So once again, Jesus is likening himself in this picture to having the light to help you walk in the day. I see this kind of in a multifaceted type illustration. So there are 12 hours of daylight every day. During the day, people can walk around safely because they have the light of this world. At night, there is danger of stumbling because they have no light. Partially, one explanation I see is Jesus is the light of the world. He is the one that gives us light to know how to walk about in the day, how to walk about our lives so that we do not stumble. Because when it is night, when we do not have him, we stumble in our ways. So that's one. Without Jesus, we stumble. With him, we can see the path. With him, we can continue walking. I also see an explanation where this is a pseudo warning, where he says, so there are 12 hours of daylight every day. During the day, people can walk around safely because they have the light. But at night, there is danger. I see this also as a picture of like, hey, right now you're able to walk around because you have the light. But there comes time where you don't. And so I also see a potential illustration for there is coming a time at which Jesus is not going to be there. And it will be dangerous to walk around because we will have no light. So I also see that explanation, similar to what I shared maybe a few weeks ago, was Jesus is waiting and Jesus is with one arm calling us to him, saying, hey, I'm here to rescue you. In this metaphor, he is providing that light and that path for you to come to salvation, right? For you to be saved. With one hand, he is welcoming you. With the other hand, he is holding back God's wrath. One day, both of those hands will drop. And God's wrath will have to be carried out on the world. And you will no longer be welcomed into the safety of Jesus' arms, the safety of the Messiah. So the time is coming at which we will not have the light.
Yeah.
So I also see that being a potential illustration here. I just think it's so interesting that he writes this and then pivots so quickly to Lazarus has fallen asleep. I will go and wake him up. I think it's really interesting. I don't know what to make of it.
I like how we put him first, Lazarus first, rather than like, I guess, formally ending the conversation with them.
So Jesus goes, he continues. Jesus tells them, Lazarus is dead. For your sake, I'm glad I wasn't there, for now you will really believe. Let's go and see him. So at this point, Jesus already knows what he's doing. Jesus knew from the very beginning, which is why he wasn't like in a rush to like go see him. He's like, no. God's going to get glory through what's about to happen. What has Jesus been doing over the last few chapters that we've been reading? Jesus has been constantly having conversation after conversation, performing miracles, but then also trying to point out to people how he is the Messiah, how he has power over the flesh, how he has power over these physical ailments that are weighing down on people, He's healing people from being blind, healing people who can't walk. He is then teaching them, explaining to them how I am the living water, I am the living bread, I am the rescuer, I am the one you have been waiting for. I have a relationship with the Father so intimately close that you don't even understand. So Jesus has been trying for the last few chapters to outline how he is the Messiah. He has power over all these things. I partially feel a little bit of excitement coming from the passage of like Jesus saying, I'm glad I wasn't there. Now you will really believe. Come, let's go see him. I almost get a little bit of excitement from him of like, just wait until you see what's next. Mm-hmm. So they go up. I don't know what to make of verse 16. I think it's funny. It might be a joke. It might be Thomas being like, let's go too. I guess we'll just go die with Jesus. Like he's about to go back into Judea. So I wonder if Thomas meant it in like a joking manner of like, well, I guess we're just going to go die.
He's so done with Jesus shenanigans. He's like, man,
this is it, man.
I want to see that like this moment in The Chosen.
That's what season 4 is, right?
Yeah, I want to like watch it and like see that moment. Then I could probably.
Yeah, I want to see how they play that. I'm excited to see season 4. Like when it comes to the app, like free release for everyone. I'm excited to see it.
Have you seen the Mark Wahlberg like things of like the Catholic praying thing?
Oh yeah,
like the Jesus guy is doing it. Okay.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Rumi is Catholic, so.
I kind of want to download the app because it's just
Jesus told me to. Not Jesus, like actor Jesus. Yeah, no, I'm really excited for that those episodes of The Chosen to be released and just to see how they do it, how they do this scene. So Jesus goes back to Bethany. He is told that Lazarus has been in the grave for 4 days. He first is met with Martha, and Martha says, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. Jesus says, your brother will rise again. So with Martha, he encourages her, your brother will rise again. I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after dying. He's like hinting. He's like trying to, he's again, I think there's the excitement level of like, just wait. Mm-hmm. I am going to do great. Like, I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after death. Just you wait. So Martha responds, yes, Lord, I have always believed that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who has come into the world from God. And she returned to Mary. She gets Mary, tells her to come outside. The teacher's here. Everyone thinks she's going to see Lazarus at the tomb, so they run over there. And Mary goes to see Jesus. Mary responds in the same way her sister did. And she says, Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. Jesus, this time, responds with sympathy. When we struggle, when we go through different trials, when we go through sorrow like this, Jesus responds to us in both of these ways. Jesus responds to us in a way of encouragement, excitement of like, yes, I know this is hard, but I am the resurrection, but I have I have power over this. And so he encourages us, he gives us peace, he gives us just that reaffirmation that even through the struggle, he is with us and we can overcome. And he also provides sympathy. Mm-hmm. Sitting there with us as he did with Mary, he says it shows a deep anger welled up within him. He was deeply troubled. Where have you put him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. And this is the famous, like, everyone, when you have to, like, quote a Bible verse, this is the, John 11:35, Jesus wept. Then Jesus wept. People who were standing nearby see how much he loved him. But some said, this man healed a blind man. Couldn't he have kept Lazarus from dying? Jesus here Jesus here responds to Mary weeping with her. And also weeping for her. That we have to go through such agony, that we have to go through such sorrow. Mm-hmm. And so I think, because he cries and also wells up with anger. And as I read that, the only way I see that happening is if Jesus is not crying because of like, oh no, Lazarus died.
The loss of a friend.
He is sad because he's like, man, you have to.
They don't get it.
I wish you wouldn't have to. He is brokenhearted over the sorrow that we feel and over the heartache we have. It kind of reminds me of the story of leaving Eden, where when Adam and Eve had to leave the Garden of Eden, God looked at them and he wasn't angry. He told them, like, now what happens? Mm-hmm. He's like, you guys, I can't have you here. You can't be in the garden. Now you're cursed to forever work the fields. The woman is going to be cursed with childbearing pains, and now the sacrifice, now the punishment for sin is death. Now you guys are going to have to die. And so God responds to our sin with brokenheartedness to see, like, no, I didn't want this for you. And so I see a little bit of that here. That Jesus weeps both to just be there with us, but in the sense of like, I wish I could make you not have to endure this. Mm-hmm. But we are in a sinful world, a world filled with death. And we are going to go through these times of sorrow and sadness. And Jesus is still there. He's still there in that moment with us. So they go out to the tomb, and Jesus has them roll the stone away from the entrance. First, he says, roll the stone aside. Martha steps up and she's like, Lord, he's been dead for 4 days. The smell's going to be terrible. She goes, oh no, the smell.
To me, that's so funny of her just being like, oh, if you were here, my brother wouldn't be dead. Don't try to save him, though. It stinks. It stinks.
The smell will kill you. This is kind of funny. Jesus responds, and he says, did I not tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe? Because he told the messenger that way back at the beginning of the chapter here. He says, Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so the Son of God will receive glory from this. And so he says, did I not tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe? So they rolled the stone aside, and Jesus looked up to heaven, and he said, Father, thank you for hearing me. You always hear me, but I say it out loud for the sake of all these people standing here so that they will believe that you sent me. So he is, at this point, he is praying and having an open conversation with God. He goes, I know you're always hearing me, and I know I always talk to you in public, in private. Right now, I'm talking to you so that everyone will know that it is through you that we are able to do what we're about to do. And then Jesus shouts, Lazarus, come out. The dead man comes out, his hands and feet still bound in grave clothes. His face is still wrapped in a headcloth, and Jesus tells them to unwrap him, let him go. So I think what's so cool here, Jesus shows his power over death. Jesus has been spending the last few chapters explaining how he is the Messiah. He is the Son of God. He has power over our physical ailments. He has power over our emotional ailments. He has power over death. He's been explaining to them how he is the way. He is how they can get to freedom, to be saved, to be rescued from their sin. He is the Messiah. He's just trying to drive this home. He's like, what is the one thing that awaits us all? And it's death. He goes, guess what? I can beat that. So he shows us through Lazarus. He's like, by the way, I can command death. I have the power to resurrect this person. And I believe he's also trying to show an image of what he's going to do. Because Lazarus is buried in a very similar way that Jesus will be buried. Lazarus is buried in a tomb with a stone rolled in front of it. And in the same way, Jesus, when he is buried in the tomb with a stone rolled in front of it, he, on the third day, emerges from there. But instead of asking people roll the stone away and he has to shout for Lazarus to come out, Lazarus still has all of his gauze and everything over him. When Jesus does it himself, stone rolls away by itself. The tomb is empty, and all of the grave clothes are just there in the tomb. And so he's even gone to a step further than what he does here. He's like, I have power and authority over life and death. I can beat death through raising the dead here and through raising myself. Because he just told people that he's going to die.
Yeah.
He explained to people how he has to go and die and that he will come back, and they don't understand. So he's like, okay, let me show you. And so he uses this opportunity to show how he will come back from the dead. This whole time, Jesus is weaving a picture of I'm going to do this incredible thing, and you are not going to believe it.
Wow.
So I'm going to show you piece by piece every facet, and then later on it'll make sense. But just you wait. You will see what I can do.
Wow.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Anything else stand out to you guys in the passage? Any verse stand out to you, or do you have any questions that comes from it?
Not really for me. I mean, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's a lot of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much straightforward, huh?
Do we want to? We have a little bit of
I
time.
think we should just finish.
Do we want to finish up chapter 11?
It's not much more. I don't know.
10 verses?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a few.
Might as well.
Sure. Let's go ahead and go through it. We have a little bit of time.
Just kidding, listeners. There will be no part
There will
two.
be no part 2.
Get pranked.
We will just continue with John 12. You thought. All right. Verse 45.
Y'all are so gullible.
Many of the people who were with Mary believed in Jesus when they saw this happen. But some went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. Then the leading priests and Pharisees called the high council together. "What are we going to do?" they asked each other. "This man certainly performs many miraculous signs. If we allow him to go on like this, soon everyone will believe in him. Then the Roman army will come and destroy both our temple and our nation." Caiaphas, who was the high priest at the time, said, "You don't know what you're talking about. You don't realize that it's better for you that one man should die for the people than for the whole nation to be destroyed." He did not say this on his own. As high priest at that time, he was led to prophesy that Jesus would die for the entire nation. And not only for that nation, but to bring together and unite all the children of God scattered throughout the world. So from that time on, the Jewish leaders began to plot Jesus' death. As a result, Jesus stopped his public ministry among the people and Jesus stopped his public ministry among the people, and he left Jerusalem. He went to a place near the wilderness, the village of Ephraim. He stayed there with his disciples. It was now almost time for the Jewish Passover celebration, and many people from all over the country arrived in Jerusalem several days early so that they can go through the purification ceremony before Passover began. They kept looking for Jesus, but as they stood around in the temple, they said to each other, "What do you think? He won't come for Passover, will he?" Meanwhile, the leading priests and Pharisees had publicly ordered that anyone seeing Jesus must report it immediately so that they could arrest him. So that part just kind of wraps up our story here. It's the breaking point. And you can see the small note that it makes of he did not say this on his own. He was led to prophesy that Jesus would die for the entire nation. But not only the nation, but to bring together all the children of God scattered all throughout the world. That line explains why this is happening. So this part is now Jesus has spent his ministry on earth. He has shown his deity. And because of that, the Pharisees are responding with, "We have to kill this guy before he gets too much attention and the Roman army comes to destroy us." It's kind of like he's too loud. He's too much. He's getting too popular, but so much so that Rome will see him as a target. Rome will see him as a threat. And then they will see us as a threat and they will come and attack us. And so because of that, they decide it is better for us to kill Jesus than for us to lose the entire nation. Anything you guys have to add to this? Or questions?
Once again, not really. It's kind of hard to add something onto it or have questions about it.
Sure.
Because it's not like Psalms where it's like
this is
opposite of straightforward.
Yeah, Psalms is poetry, so there's a lot to unravel in terms of meaning and whatnot. And this is more so. I mean, there's a little bit in terms of unraveling what Jesus is meaning, but a lot of this is a lot more story based, linear. You're following along with what's happening.
Yeah,
and it's a lot easier than when we read through 1st and 2nd Samuel. Because that was historical document. This is written more so as just a prose piece. This is written as a story not written as history.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's not written for historical documentation. It's written for like
Hey, this
people.
happened.
Yeah, it's written for people to read, not for like a
Interpret.
record. Yeah, not for like a historical record. Because that's what like First and Second Samuel and some of the books in the Old Testament, they're the books of history. They were written just like with incredible detail for the sake of preserving history. To know like, okay, it was this person who was the son of this person who went to this town to talk to this person who was the son of this person. And they did this, they discussed this thing, and they did, it's a lot more detailed because it's historical record.
Yeah.
This is more so like, I want you to understand what happened, but on a common level, not like detail structure, So, yes, it is very straightforward, less to interpret. They're getting ready for Passover. These are very important celebrations for the Jewish people. They are remembering Passover. They are remembering the spirit of the angel of death who passed over them back in the book of Exodus. Yeah. Book of Exodus, the story of Exodus. So they were in Egypt. They were told to put the blood of a lamb on their doorposts, and if they did, then their children would be protected. If you didn't, then your firstborn child died. And now they forever remember what God has done for them by celebrating Passover. So they have these times to celebrate together of when Jesus protected them through the shedding of blood of an innocent, perfect lamb. That is important because Jesus is now the fulfillment of Passover, the shedding of an innocent blood for the sake of protecting the people. This is important. All of it, everything, all these traditions that they follow, all these ceremonies that we see the Jewish people follow are important symbolisms for what Jesus has done for us. And in the context of the story, what Jesus will do for us. So all of that is all of these are important details to just like line up. So for next week, we will continue in John chapter 12, and then things are getting good here. I mean, the next few chapters is like, this is it. It's happening, So from here, it's like we have now gone through Jesus's ministry. He does ministry for 3 years. His formal time of ministry is 3 years. The first part of it, so you have to kind of imagine that we've kind of glazed over now 2 years, let's say 2-3 years. And then we are now in the last either half year or year as it leads up to his death. So over the next few chapters, time will move a lot slower. We're going slower throughout these events because we are leading up to his death. But we will continue that next week, John 12. As always, I appreciate you guys being here. Listeners, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And a reminder, as we always like to ask you, we don't ask for a lot necessarily, but we always like to remind you that we have a Q&A spot at the bottom on Spotify or whatever. We'd love to get your reviews on this podcast. What'd you think of it? If you have anything for us to discuss, we would love to hear those questions as well, or those topics. We always appreciate you guys tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you guys and having you with us next week. So until next time, you guys.
Adios.
See ya.